Yusuf, you have a penchant for creating trouble. But as Yusuf suffers from something I have suffered from quite a bit, having to answer the perennial question that looks so obvious and in some circumstances even outrightly foolish. Someone meets you, like you, and they say, "So, Mr. Kasyate, where are you now?" So, Yusuf, I am tempted to ask you the same question I'm sick and tired of answering myself. Yusuf Serunkuma, where are you now?
I'm here with you.
That's exactly the answer I give whoever asks me that question. But welcome to the program. Usually I would say Yusuf Serunkuma, an academic from Makerere University, Kampala. Then I read reports where Makerere University was raising questions as to whether or not you don't belong there. And hence the question, where are you practicing your academia from? If you don't mind, you may wish to shed some light. I could be behind the news, and it would be nice to educate me.
Simon, that you're trying to raise this kind of way it's non-existent. If you read reports about Makerere, you should have read everything that is being said. Okay, you don't just read Makerere and stop. Everything was written. It had to be read. So I'll not answer that question. But you can proudly say,
please be guided.
I'm a researcher based at Makerere University. I'm a columnist with the Observer newspaper. And I'm happy that I have some of my readers here. They said my column is provocative. Which is a nice thing to say, to hear about a reader. But also he said quite gladly that they're insightful, which is a wonderful thing to hear from an MP who is not like a small reader, is a big drum who is going to be legislating for this country.
Yusuf, I want us to be guided by...
I wanted to say one thing about what John Nagenda used to say, that, if you write a column in a national newspaper, why do you need to go to Parliament,
But he wasn't referring to a newspaper the size of the Observer. Please, let's be guided by context. There is a national newspaper like the one Nagenda was writing for.
What's your rating of the Observer?
What's your rating? No, I need to be guided. I'm just here to just rubber rouse and be guided, because frankly speaking, there are some little frequencies you bump in when you are in small little towns and nooks and corners of this country, and you can't comfortably say when you are a panelist on a weekend program on those little radio stations and compare yourself to the ultimate capital gang. So sometimes some of these things need to be put in context. There is the capital gang of Capital FM, and then there is smaller other things. And there is the newspaper Nagenda used to write for, and then there is the Observer. Let's be honest, are they at the same standing? That said, there are news reports coming in this week of another newspaper that faces closure, and some have actually said that is fake news. So questions abound as to the future of journalism. Now that you brought up this whole thing, we can start from there, Yusuf, and tell us from your research perspective, what's happening? Is AI killing everything, including and not limited to journalism?
You want me to respond to that?
Yeah, I'll be glad.
I don't know what to say. I did plan to speak about journalism and media today, Simon. Maybe let's return to the topic of today. The question should be, how did counterfeit get into the country? How did counterfeit get produced onto the Ugandan market? We have the Bureau of Standards. What are they doing? How did counterfeit get into the streets? So for you to query the hawker that they're selling counterfeit on the streets of Kampala, how did counterfeit get into the country, for example? I am lucky, unless friends here, that I actually do research downtown. A businessman said to me one time that you see these sandals that we buy on the streets, especially women's sandals, that break in 2 days or 1 day. That as soon as you reach home and you try it on, it's already broken, right? He said a very connected fellow, and Katesia used to work with URA, I'm sure he knows this. A very connected fellow fits so many containers of those things from China, enters them into the country. They are clearly counterfeit. They are below standard to enter anywhere in the country, right? They are like rubbish from China. But once you reach the National Bureau of Standards, you just say, I have about 1 billion. If I'm selling them at 6,000, 5,000, I have over 1 billion. Why don't you take 200 million and you let them enter? You see, you do the same to your person. Like, when you see those small things,
I will appreciate. I'm sorry to just interject.
I'm talking from
there's a lady called Violet here who doesn't like me interjecting on you people, but you can't come here and make some of
it's research.
Violet, a man like
you're talking
Yusuf,
to a scholar
who is here telling, okay, when you say you're a scholar, fair enough, and that's why you're on the program. Can you substantiate these claims? Tell us that businessman X has done this, and substantiate it.
No, it's not fair.
Simon,
let me stop you there, right there.
Point to him and say,
please.
This is what happened. Like, do not make allegations.
Simon, we don't do scholarship
Violet,
like that.
You see why
Simon, you're not teaching me scholarship.
No, I'm saying on the program, you don't come here to make unsubstantiated claims.
Simon, please.
People hold you to serious account when you come here to speak.
Please.
You are an authority. Like an academician, you must quote authorities.
Yeah, but why do you interfere with the authority? Let the authority speak.
But then when you are lying, please, you must understand I'm a moderator here, not as a bimbo. I put you to task. Substantiate your claim. You can't come here and blanketly say a businessman has...
but you don't know what I'm talking about. If I'm lying, do you know the truth?
No, Simon, he said he's a researcher. He does research.
I said as a researcher.
Where is the paper that you've done?
Okay.
Because you know...
But I can't have you on this show with papers are published on the thing. I can't show you on papers are published.
You know, this gentleman is a full-time 24-hour critic. And when you start and be everywhere.
Was my time up? I was winding up.
Because you see, Simon, you are choosing UNBS. You are pointing to a businessman whom you are quoting the process and saying UNBS is paid and they let goods in, and then you are allowed to say that.
Can I be allowed to?
No, but the Simon is asking if you are the scholar. Scholars come with evidence, and you've done research. Don't just choose a government entity here.
So let me tell you, I am two things. I am a journalist in the first place, and a scholar. Now, what we do in scholarship, we don't carry names of people when we are citing supposedly sensitive things. We don't do that. We anonymize, and I think that would be a difficult terminology for you, but we anonymize. But let me finish this point.
People might say
when you mentioned
you might be a counterfeit scholar also.
It's an institution. Okay, I'm happy to take yes, an institution. It's a public institution.
Please, Yusuf, you're speaking to an award-winning journalist as well. So don't tell me about scholarship with 3 degrees.
Don't be a counterfeit scholar.
Don't be a counterfeit scholar.
We are talking about counterfeit.
Refer to the first question I asked you. Where
Simon, you need to be fair to your guests.
Now in the studio.
And listen to and be happy to listen to their craft, because you don't belong to that craft. The point I'm making, Kateshi speaks about counterfeits in the country.
Yes.
And which body is meant to deal with counterfeit? Exactly, and that's what I'm problematizing. I'm telling you, this body, if you pick issue with a vendor who is selling counterfeit in the country, you're treating the symptom.
65% of the products which are suspected to be counterfeit are actually made here.
Exactly.
You are talking of.
I was building a big point.
Let's discuss. Don't accuse entities without discussing the real thing.
Katesh, you didn't listen very carefully when you spoke. So, the 2 things we sell in this country: imports and things which are manufactured here, and the body which is responsible for making sure the standards of those goods are good, are to standard, is the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. Now, if we are holding the vendor responsible for selling counterfeit, and we're saying this vendor has to be kicked off because he will be selling counterfeit and he doesn't have an address, why don't you go with the issue which is meant to ensure that the goods sold on the market are actually to standard? Why don't you do that? That's the point that we need to stick on. Even if the goods are produced locally, as you said, 65% are produced locally, there's a body which is meant to be holding producers here responsible. But we're not. So I wanted to give you stories from the people involved in actually selling these things. UNBS, this is what they tell us. You can go and do your research. This is a media house. You can also ask journalists to go research what I'm saying. They tell us containers come with thousands of those little things or so. They break in a day. And how do they get into the country? Because all these are Chinese products. How do they get into the country? They get into the country through the same Bureau of Standards. And when they get here, they're sold on the market. So the vendors will tell you how they negotiate the process of getting them onto the store of Kampala, right? And that's the story I've told you. So if you think the story is fake, you can go and investigate.
It's okay, Yusuf. The same way someone can come here and claim that if fake goods are coming to the country, so could be fake academicians graduating from academic institutions. Same could be people with fake degrees and fake credentials.
What is your point? Yeah. Still Makere should be responsible for its degrees.
Absolutely, and maybe even those who claim to be. Abdu Katut, welcome to the program. It's been nice. I haven't seen you this whole year. You found us in the middle of a conversation around trade order in the city and the new enforcement by KCCA to rid the city of vendors, hawkers, and all those characters that were making our city look closer to a sty than a capital city. Questions abound. This is not the first time KCCA is doing such a cleanup, but what has happened in the past? Why do they carry out such cleanups? And before long, we return to normal programming. What usually makes us unable to sustain operations such as this?